y'all, I've overblotted because all the mage stones I tried making are turning out like shit. Even though the first 5 I made turned out fine, but whatever. I guess I'm in my resin flop era. So today I'm going to be going over some numbers and giving some tips on how to beat Overblot Jamil. To start off, you fight him twice, which is not very cash money. His movesets also differ slightly in each fight, which is even less cash money. The first fight against Overblot Jamil happens in part 32 if I recall correctly. His elements are fire water, so you'll need flora water units to properly fight him. His HP is 41,000 and it's a 5-turn battle. As long as you survive to the end, you'll be fine. So in this fight he has 4 different moves. Also, by the way, I translated the names from Japanese, so the names are probably going to be a little different in the end. Tremendous Power is a water spell that hits once, and there's a variant that hits twice. It's labeled as Tremendous Power 2. Magician's Rule is a fire spell, and like Tremendous Power, there's another variation of that spell that hits twice. I did this fight 10 times and was hit with a total of 84 spells, and here are my findings. So I got hit with Tremendous Power a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. I feel like in the past the numbers were all pretty evenly distributed, but nope, not this time. So Jamil hit me with Tremendous Power 30 times, which made it like 35.7% of his attacks. So compared to the other numbers, that's really high. Tremendous Power 2 only got used 17% of the time, Magician's Rule was 23.8% of the attacks, and finally Magician's Rule 2 was 22.6% of the attacks. So you're far more likely to be hit with Tremendous Power, so I would recommend for this fight having a few more flora spells than water. I was able to get away with a lower level team for the most part. I only had 1 level 80 SSR on my team, while the other units were level 30, 45, and 47 SRs, and then I used the game's suggested Grim as my guest unit. My other testing team was less strong. The weakest team I won with was the Guest Azul unit, and then level 35, 45, 47, and 80 SRs. I would say though that I think you should try to have at least 1 hyper carry unit that's like 80-ish as insurance. The other units, as long as they're 30 plus, should be fine. I didn't use any Rs in my testing this time. I think if they're built enough and in the right way you could use them, but I personally haven't tried them. Alright Stacy girls, it's going down. Round 2 is not my favorite thing in the world, but oh well. Jamil is still a fire water unit for this fight and his HP isn't that much higher this time, it's 43,000. However, this time the victory requirement is getting him to 0, so it's not as forgiving as the first round. Jamil has 4 spells, but there's a bit of a change in his lineup. He still has both Tremendous Power spells as well as Magician's Rule 2, but now he has Tremendous Power 3 and he's ditched Magician's Rule. Tremendous Power 3 is a water spell that hits 3 times, and it will always be the second spell on turn 3. This time I got hit with 73 spells total, and here's the numbers I got. The numbers this time were closer to each other and more evenly distributed compared to round 1. I still got hit with Tremendous Power the most, but it only happened 35.6% of the time. Then we had Tremendous Power 2 at 26.3% of the time, Magician's Rule 2 at 24%, and Tremendous Power 3 at 12%. The number for Tremendous Power 3 is a bit wonky because sometimes I died before getting hit with it, but judging from the patterns and not just this fight but like the other past Overblots, I feel confident in saying it will happen once every 5 turns. Because his element distribution is more even, I would suggest having an equal amount of flora and water units. So this fight was a lot more difficult, and although I tried the same-ish team as round 1, I lost pretty fast. I honestly hate having to say this, but most of my units were basically hyper carries, and my fastest time was just under 3 turns. 2.5 turns? I don't know. But most of the time I was clocking in at 4 turns, sometimes even longer. My weakest, air quotes, card was a level 65 SR, which obviously I can't recommend the same unit because he hasn't been added to EN yet, but this idiot was my second strongest flora water SR, so I had to use him. You guys already know I hate recommending specific units anyway. Don't feel like you need these exact units. I mean, you literally cannot use that idiot. But yeah, basically I had the level 65 SR as my weak card, 3 level 80 SRs, and then my friend had a level 100 Trey SSR I used as my guest unit. A level 80 SSR guest is totally fine, I just went with the Trey because he was an option, and also this time I was more occupied with getting spell numbers and not so much the teams. These fights are not easy, and considering I don't think a lot of people have super built cards, you might have to do this fight multiple times. Hell, I lost a couple of times and I was using pretty well built units. Just don't give up and keep playing around with teams. I would suggest start building those water flora units now if you haven't, and if you have to, invest a lot into a hypercarry unit, whether it's an SR or SSR. Make sure you look at your friend's units, and remember sometimes you need to pick the best element unit, and you don't always need to play by duo magic. I didn't use duo magic at all for round 2 and I was fine. I know this video is a lot shorter, but it's 5 AM as I'm writing this and I have to immediately record this because it's May 1st. I hope my test runs have given you some insight into the fight, and again, be prepared for the worst, and if you need to step away because the fight's frustrating, by all means take breaks, and know that you will eventually beat it. Good luck guys, you got this.